Happy Tuesday night. Welcome to my fight show. I'm Mika Frankl. We are live on the Cage Minds YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram with a loaded show coming up tonight. Just a couple minutes. Our first guest will be along. We're going to talk to the one and only Barber Gabe from Barber Gabe's Fades. He has a story to tell us behind his performance and what was a more to it than we assumed week ahead of APFC 22. Garrett Wardell is going to come in to talk about collegiate MMA. And April 17th, there's going to be a grappling meet here at UNM. More details, 7 o'clock, the Pitbull. Josh Torres, it's fight week, Legacy Boxing Promotions. The Legacy continues 3 Embassy Suites. That's this weekend, and the Pitbull is here on fight week. Cameron Delano, May 6th, Blood for Blood, facing Alex the Terrible in the main event. 4 bands, 4 fights, and we get to talk with the PBR bare knuckle fighter right here this evening. Birthday Bash number 3, May 2nd at the El Rey. Your tickets are available on Hold My Ticket. That's from NWA, New Mexico. Saleh, our guest last week. Yes. Lonzo, the lowrider, Romero, a harrowing effort. You guys can check that out on the YouTube channel for Duke City Championship Wrestling if you were not able to be in attendance this past Saturday. I heard it was quite the card. We might have a change of heart from Pretty City Express as they head towards the Crockett Cup. Manny Lemons, still so sweet and sour at the same time. Gata Bueno was a scene. And believe me, Birthday Bash number 3, May 2nd, is going to be a vibe. MMA After Hours is out, from UFC Seattle recap to UFC Vegas 115 preview. And yes, some talk about even Floyd Mayweather came up today. That one's up at cageminds.com. And tomorrow we will be talking about AEW, WWE, the road to WrestleMania on Pro Wrestling After Hours. A couple minutes away from hearing from Barber Gabe, Barber Gabe's Fades. You visit them at 100 Coors Boulevard, Northwest, Lobo Plaza. That's Suite 107. Book online to get in nice and easy at barbergabesfades.net. Walk-ins, though, are always welcome, and keep the beard on lock with the Barbers Are Us Beard Balm. Robbie Ray Images and Media, expand your presence. All the assistance he gives this past weekend. ESPN Radio Albuquerque 1017, The Team, where you can hear Cage Minds Fight Hour every Saturday. Last week, we talked with Conrad Padilla. The plan this Saturday, Catherine Renee Lindemuth, ahead of heading to Denmark with her coach, Tony Rosales, going to be in studio. Before we get to the Barber, whole bunch of action last week. We talked everything UFC today on MMA After Hours, but there's a lot of bare knuckle, and there were some MMA others from this past weekend. Mohegan Sun Fight Night number 3. 4 events in a short time that the Unisville Mohegan Sun Arena was bringing in bare knuckle, and we saw a once again heroic come from behind victory for Parker Porter. Gets knocked down twice from short shots in the clinch, and the fight is stopped, though, after the third. Continuous work on the inside. Porter closes Wilson's left eye. Haven't talked to Parker. We had him on last week. You got to feel there was a sigh of relief. Hayes Wilson was having a whole ton of success before it all went downhill, and it contains that quick in bare knuckle. He's not there yet, but you could see Pat Casey breaking into the middleweight rankings really soon. 4 knockdowns. It was multiple times from the overhand, just a one-sided shellacking of Zeb Vincent. Vincent, he tried to be dramatic. He tried to be playful. He was never able to get his long distance strikes going. And in all, a huge victory for Casey. Rico DeSulo, 7 knockdowns to stop Elijah Harris in the 5th round. You could see DeSulo, he's earned it. He's ready. He needs bigger competition. We could see him breaking in to the lightweight rankings anytime. Gary Gigliotti, huge debut coming over from BKB. BKB, reigning champion, decides to sign with BKFC, gets knocked down in the 1st round, comes back against Timmy Mason to get off the canvas. First time ever his corner had said 2 uppercut, right uppercut, left hook combinations equals the finish. Gigliotti calling out Kai Stewart. He's been on vacation. We're going to hit up the king to see if we can get him back on next week. A ballsy call out. 6-0 in the sport. And as Gigliotti pointed out, number 1 ranked at 145 pounds, according to Box Rec. Maybe that will indulge BKFC. He throws his hat into the ring where you had Eduardo Palazzola, you have Nathan Rivera, and you do have Brian Rivera, all talking, or Brian Duran, excuse me, all talking about who should fight Kai Stewart next. Gigliotti with an impressive statement to throw his name in the conversation. Fight of the night, easily Alexandra Ballou versus Taylor Dagner. This one featured Dagner having overwhelming offense, huge pressure, eating a big left hook counter to drop faceplant in the 2nd round, making that round a 10-8, getting off the canvas, coming back to again install that pressure in the 3rd round. Not always in love with draws, but I really felt like this one was correctly scored and justified. Not to mention we had a epic comeback on the early free prelims. You can still go back and watch on YouTube as Joshua Whiteside was getting beat up on the inside, dropped twice by Isaiah Williams. He's able to find counter hooks from both sides to get the knockdown in the 2nd round and get the knockout, a big harrowing victory. We are just a couple minutes away from Barber Gabe. Barber Gabe's fades. The Barber, 2 wins in a row at APFC 22. He'll be joining us in just a moment. Outside that BKFC card, that wasn't the only bare knuckle going on. Just up the road, literally from Unisville to Foxwood, BKB 52, Cub Hawkins, a 3rd round TKO over Big Show vet Jesse Ronson. The fight was wild. Hawkins got dropped 3 times in the 2nd round and looked close to losing his belt, but flipped the script in the 3rd with a counter right that led to the stoppage. A swollen and battered Ronson. Big victory for Cub Hawkins. Jean-Pierre Rodriguez defeats Ash Williams. 2nd round TKO. New BKB featherweight champion. Ramirez overwhelmed Williams with his speed and power, scoring multiple knockdowns before the ref steps in. Huge victory. And Julian Fernandez defeats Alex Wilson, a 1st round knockout. Brutal 1-punch knockout of the night earner to become the super cruiserweight champion. Devastating performances at BKFC, Mohegan Sun 3. Parker Porter absolutely knocking on the door of bigger fights in the heavyweight division. Rico DeSulo keeping his name fresh. Gary Gigliotti obviously deserves something huge. Cub Hawkins, man, who can stop him? 2 weight classes and still just destroying guys. It looked like he had met his match in Ronson and then still overcomes it. What an impressive feat. The PFL also in action this week up in Pittsburgh. Johnny Eblin, picks up and slams and picks up and slams and picks up and slams Brian Battle multiple times, sinking in a rear naked choke, 410 of the first round. The former Bellator PFL champion making a statement why he deserves a rematch at Castello Van Steens. The only one that may impede it is if the decision makers felt that Ipa Kasanganai's first round knockout, where he got clipped from an overhand, wobbled by an uppercut, and then caught the over aggressive Dalton Rasta walking in with a straight right and face planted him. An epic knockout from Kasanganai. It's Eblin or it's Kasanganai for Van Steens next. And the other one, the alternate, right there for the next title opportunity. Ariane Lipsky looks the best that she has since I've seen her come over from fighting in KSW. Strong right hands, a knockdown in the second round, overwhelming pressure, a decisive unanimous decision over Samiko Inaba as the PFL looks to cultivate their women's flyweight division. Alexi Pergrande improves to 8-0, a very quality win over UFC vet Julio Arce. Really solid striking, dynamic with the knees and the punches, a featherweight to keep an eye on. And UFC vet Dakota Bush was only there to have a cup of coffee, but a huge knockout win, overhand right, and then the ensuing ground and pound to take out Robert Watley, a former LFA champion, in just 34 seconds. That was our recap from last weekend, and just in time because I can see that our very first guest is ready. We're going to welcome in the Barber, Gabe. Coming off of FC 22, a successful night in the office. We are joined by the one and only, putting the Barber Gabe in Barber Gabe's Fades. Obviously, the interview is brought to you by them. Check them out. 100 Coors Boulevard Northwest, Suite 107 at Lobo Plaza. It's barbergabesfade.net. Best place to book your appointment so you don't have to wait with the big line that's always in the shop. Dude, you're coughing still. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing a lot better than I was.
You look like death at the weigh-ins, and I think that's probably, and having to hit the inhaler, the appropriate place to start. People saw fight night. People saw your victory over Roberto Valenzuela, but there was a lot more behind the scenes and a lot more that led up to last Sunday.
Yeah, so I was sick. I had the flu and pneumonia during that fight. But I mean, we worked way too hard to pull out. I mean, we don't pull out of fights, with SFS. We don't do that type of stuff. And although I didn't get the victory the way I wanted to or the way I planned to, I was still pretty happy that I got the victory against a tough opponent.
When did you notice that something had crept in and your body was starting to be attacked, that you weren't feeling well?
I would probably say the the night after we left Las Cruces from Empire MMA
So
the
that
weekend
was
before.
the Saturday before your fight. So you're like a week out, a full 7
Yeah,
days, and you're starting to feel this cold, this flu building up on you.
yeah. Whenever I was driving out there, I was kind of feeling like a little sluggish, a little sick. I was thinking maybe that camp was just kind of taking a toll on me. Been in camp for quite some time, and I was kind of really thinking about it. And then the night of the fights, I just started feeling extremely sick and really weak. And then fight week, I didn't really get a train at all. I was barely breathing. I was coughing and just it was bad. That's why that was another reason why I had a kind of like a little hard time making weight this time, was just because I didn't really get a train the last week out, and usually make weight perfect, because camp was amazing. Camp was phenomenal. Leading into fight week, I was just freaking sick bad.
I think it was 188, somewhere around in that neighborhood where you weighed in the first time.
Yeah, I was 188 first time, which on all of our other scales, I was about like 187 already. So I was like, all right, I'm good. If I need to, I can use a 2 pound allowance. Um, but when we got there, I was a little heavy still, so I went to the spa at Isleta and cut that weight, went back up there, made it, and just try to rehydrate. And the thing that sucked was even after I weighed in, I did not have an appetite. I didn't want to drink nothing. I couldn't hold nothing down. I was just consistently throwing up. Even though I didn't have anything in my body, I was like just like dry heaving, I guess you could say, or just like, I don't know the right word or term.
No, that's the right one.
Okay.
Did you ever think about pulling out at that point? You're dry heaving after the process. It sounds like the process itself, and you've been a wrestler. This sounds like this was a pretty grueling process just to get to that 188 this time.
No, we never thought about pulling out. Me and Freddie never had the conversation about that at all. Um, I knew that I was prepared even on my worst day to win, and so did my team. My team knew that no matter what was in my way, I was still gonna be able to get that win, whether I was as sick as I was or I was injured. So never crossed our minds.
How long is the dry heaving, the sickness? Do you just eventually go to bed? Like, what is that night like for you before the fight?
Oh man. So I didn't even go to sleep until about 4:30 or 5 in the morning after weigh-ins. I just couldn't sleep. Luckily, I stayed at the casino, so I was able to just kind of get up, I guess, and just go downstairs and check in with the commission. But I had a pretty bad night that night. I just could not sleep. I was just coughing and couldn't breathe and trying to go to sleep, trying to rehydrate. So being sick and dehydrated plus the weight cut, there was a lot of different factors that were just not going my way that night.
I was joking with you backstage because you had your blankie with you, but we understood why. You were under the weather. You were trying to stay warm. What was fight night like? Checking in and still feeling that bad, and it was quite a card. And for you being at the later end of the amateurs, we all checked in at the same time. You were there for a few hours, just having to, unfortunately, just kind of live in that area, feeling bad and watching everyone else prepare.
Um, I honestly just wanted to go to sleep. Like I was tired, but I couldn't sleep. And I was pretty calm the whole night. I wasn't feeling no nerves. I was just kind of like, all right, I know I'm prepared. I know no matter how I'm feeling, my mind is stronger than what my body's feeling. And I had confidence in my preparation that I was gonna be okay, regardless of how I was feeling. But I definitely wanted to I definitely wanted to try to fight sooner. It was not it's always nice to fight a little bit later on the card because it kind of makes you feel like a little more important, I guess you could say, or something. But I would have liked to fight a little bit earlier because right after my fight, I think I sat down and watched 2 3 more fights, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go home. I went upstairs to my room and tried to fall asleep.
What was the shakeout like? What's the preparation? What was that warm up like in the back as you're feeling this awful and it's your time. It's time to get off the chair. It's time to start getting warm.
It was pretty normal. I would say, I definitely was feeling more so out of breath, like a lot easier, but not tired, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. Like I wasn't tired or like exhausted, but like it was very hard to breathe. Very, very hard to breathe. And even at the end of the fight, you could see like when they're trying to announce the winner, I'm just breathing out of my nose And I'm not tired. I wasn't exhausted or tired. My cardio was good, but like if I was to breathe through my mouth or take a deep breath, I would have been on that freaking. I would have been in that cage having a cough attack where I couldn't breathe. I had to get oxygen after the fight. Actually, the doctor gave me oxygen to help me breathe for a little bit.
Wow. So it's the flu game. This is Jordan, the flu game in Utah. What happens when the music hits, when they're telling you to walk out? Did it feel any different? Did the mindset, the adrenaline, any of that stuff start to take over as your music's hitting and you're walking out?
Yeah, as soon as my music hit, I mean, I actually tried to tell the production, I was like, I'm not gonna go out of the curtain until my music starts. And they're like, no, you gotta stand in front of the curtain and then your music starts. And I'm like, man, I mean, it's my fight. I want to do it the way I wanted to do it. But I love the organization, so I did what they said. But as soon as the music hit, my songs into the groove, and I start feeling myself. I'm start feeling a little better. The sickness wasn't really in my head, more so just I need to go out there and do what I do best, and show more than a one punch or a one-sided type of fighter. So it was it was it was pretty nice. What I would say is I didn't have the energy to do like my showboating that I usually do. Cause I mean in any fight I in every one of my fights I like to put on a show. And like perfect examples in the fight were when I was against the cage and he was hitting me in my stomach, and the commentators and everybody was like, "Oh, those ones he's hitting him pretty hard, this and that." And I didn't feel a thing. And in my head, I wanted to go like this, like whoa, to the cameras or something, but like my energy for that was just not there. Or when I cut him open and he started to back up right before I took him down, I wanted to point at him and like smile and say like I got you, but like I just didn't have that energy in me that night from being sick. Usually I do. I just didn't have the energy to do that. I was just like, I need to get this done and stick to the game plan and try to go get some rest after this.
It's been a long camp, but you work on a game plan. You instill that game plan. You've had it in your mind, and then you feel this bad. Was that still the game plan and more or less the implementation of how you wanted the fight to look? You struck a little bit. We went to your wrestling. You, like you said, cut him open, a new cut. It seems like for Roberto, it's been a bad night in the office each time in APFC, walking away with new stitches. But was that what you wanted the fight to look like?
Um, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of I wanted to show that I could wrestle, I can grapple. They always mention that I have the tattoo on me, but I haven't showed it yet. So it was nice to be able to show some of my wrestling, but it was a disappointment to myself that I didn't finish the fight. I felt like I just didn't have that energy to kind of push a little bit more that pace that I knew that I could. I guess you could say I was a little worried that if I did get fatigued, that I wasn't going to be able to breathe, because I knew that when I start to breathe harder, I start coughing and I start throwing up, and if I throw up in the middle of the fight, they're gonna call it. So I was being kind of conservative with it. But I mean, overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with the performance.
We saw a lot more of your kicking game. The low kicks were a big instrument for you on the night. Was that part of the plan to really soften up the legs of a guy that the first time we saw him, I thought, oh, this guy's a boxer?
Yeah, I have really good leg kicks. I just haven't. I think I haven't really implemented them a lot. I've implemented them when I first fought Dylan Matthews, because he was so tall. I kind of had to like switch up my game plan with him because I just couldn't hit him in his head. And from that, Freddie was like, "Yeah, we should probably start working on those a little bit more." And I don't know. We knew that he was a dangerous opponent everywhere. In reality, he's a tough dude. He's not gonna just give up. So we just prepared for everything and just wanted to really showcase the full skills.
You're the only one that could tell us how bad the weight cut was, how sick you were all week, how sick you were all night. Taking all of that into accord, you're beating yourself up a bit. How do you feel about the performance overcoming that kind of a week and still digging down, gutting out a victory?
Um, I would say that I showed myself that I'm pretty mentally strong. That that I mean I knew I was, but this kind of just kind of reassured it to myself and to anybody around me that did know what was going on. That um even on my worst night, these guys can't beat me. And I truly believe that that was one of my worst nights, and it just I came out of the cage unscathed. I don't have a black eye, don't have cuts, no nothing, no bruises, no nothing. So I would say it was a pretty successful night. Just not the way I wanted to have the fight go. I wanted to finish. I always want to get to finish.
What was the feedback from the team? What did you hear from the coaches?
Just extremely proud of me that I finally showed my wrestling, that I finally wrestled in a fight. Because I do it all the time in sparring, and that's truly, I'm a wrestler. I could kickbox, I could stand up with anybody that I fight, but my team was just extremely proud of me and very, very happy with my performance. And hopefully we get some good opportunities in the future.
That's back-to-back dubs at 85. What does that mean to you?
It means that I think I deserve a title shot. I'm gonna be honest. I would love to have the opportunity to fight for a title, especially with APFC, because their middleweight champion hasn't been active, and the last time he fought, he actually went to a different organization and he lost. So I think it's time that they give New Mexico the opportunity to get another belt, but this time as an amateur belt.
Okay, well, who are you fighting then for that belt?
Whoever.
Did you think anybody on the card? I'm probably going to say I think it might be Jacob Snowink, just because of the fact that it looked like Clinton Whitmore's foot blew up like a balloon after his fight. That I think that you and Snowink might be the two healthiest able to compete for that title, at least out here in the Southwest.
Yeah, I would say so. Him, Clinton, or Jacob. Either way, I would love to share the cage with them. They're both badass fighters. I've trained with Jacob a few times, and he's a good dude. Clinton's a really good dude. So it would be really, those two fights would be really, really entertaining fights. I know the fans would love to see that.
The game is about growing and evolving. And in that thought process, what's next? What do you got to do? What do you want to work on next? Where do you feel like you got to get back to the gym and improve on?
Um, I would just say in everything. This game is consistently changing, uh, and I want to be able to adapt with the sport. The sport has changed from even just last year to now. So overall, I would just want to focus on everything and just kind of keep putting the pieces together before we make that jump to the pro level.
Barber's R Us Beard Balm. And don't forget, you need stickers, you need a banner, you need hats, you need shirts, you need a logo design. I'm not even sure if I'm listing everything, but all of that at Zia Prince. And you get a hold of Barber Gabe to take care of all of that stuff. And believe me, from the hair to the beard to the printing job, everything is top quality. Thank you again for joining my fight show tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Whoa, there we are. Okay, get reset. That was awesome interview. Barber Gabe. It was a flu week. It was a hard fight week. He got through. He made it through. He comes out with the victory. A bit of kickboxing, a bit of wrestling. We're going to be turning the page very quickly. We want to start to talk about National Collegiate Championship MMA program. Yeah, that's a mouthful. And we are going to do that as soon as we're able to get contacted with Garrett Wardell. It looks like he is trying to get in the chat right now. We're going to message him and see if everything's going okay. Looks like he is working on the process to get in the conversation. So we're going to give that just a moment. But we got grappling at UNM. Yes, the University of New Mexico, April 17th. We got a lot to talk about. The expansion of the sport from a grassroots level is what's possible. Let's check in and see what's going on here. Evening, Garrett. Can you hear us? Think he's still working on getting everything transitioned over. So we will have our second guest up. That is at least the intent right now. Well, we're live to bring in our second guest any moment. Let me line this up for you guys. And National Collegiate Championship Mixed Martial Arts, the collegiate governing body organizing mixed martial arts, the very beginning of collegiate MMA, years in the making. And it looked like this is something not looks like, but that has been, I remember, trying to be established since 2017. Okay, now I think our guest is here with us. Let's bring him on in.
Hey, sorry about that.
No. Fine. How you doing tonight?
I had to switch over. I had you all loaded up on my computer, and I was like, I don't know what the heck's going on here. I had it all loaded up, ready to go. So my apologies, guys.
Fine. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, Micah. How we doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since we've heard of your initiative, Collegiate MMA, a grassroots expansion of the product. How's the process going?
Dude, it's been a journey, man. It's a marathon. It's not a race. So put it out there. Yeah, I pretty much got kind of started it in 2014 with getting Lobo MMA chartered as a student at UNM and kind of just figure out the process. I call it the lab process. A lot of these teams, like New Mexico State, Aggies MMA, down there with Steven and Nigel, those guys have been working hard. They've been in the lab trying to, figure out what's going to work. It's a little different than a lot of like wrestling clubs, boxing clubs that are out there, kickboxing. It's because you got to be open, to everyone, to students who are active students. So a lot of it where you got to have it open for fighters who want to go compete, under the NC2MA, as well as, people that just want to be active, want to be taking part of the club and help out where they can. As training partners to being, treasurers to cabinet members. So there's a lot of openings for college students to participate, with the college MMA teams here on college campuses. So,
And at this point, how many universities are also involved in the initiative?
so right now we got UNM, so UNM Lobo MMA, just Lobo MMA. They're with us, they're contract with us, as well as Aggies MMA down there at Las Cruces. And then we're getting worked with Matadors MMA on Lubbock, Texas. They're having some cabinet members transition over, swap out. So they're kind of a newer team that's just developing. They got a lot of good talent out there in Lubbock. It's kind of scary, but I'm excited to see what comes of them. And then we got the University of Southern Florida. They're actually getting the same thing, new cabinet members. They got a lot of good teams, or a team, excuse me, coming up down there in Tampa, Florida. As well as now we're just starting to work with Mason with Athens, University of Georgia, Athens. Just in the beginning talks with them. So really, it's a lot of the teams are going to be in the Southwest as well as the Southern East Coast, the Gulf Coast area of those colleges.
So we're starting this process. It's something that you've now been almost a decade into doing, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like, when is it going to take off the ground, right? It's kind of like, when the first airplane took off the ground, like when is it really going to take off? It's different than, like the early days of the UFC, right? You just get some fighters, put a fight on, you get the State Athletic Commission involved, and there's a lot more to it. And I mean, a lot of people say, you got to be a very patient person. I'm a very patient person on this. And just kind of going with how it needs to work with each school, with each college, getting these college students, just brought up speed the process. Because back when I was doing it, when I was president of Lobo May, it was kind of do's, don'ts, that doesn't work, this doesn't work. So for me, just to put all the steps out there, everything for them, it's going to go a lot faster now. So by 2030, we're going to have a good amount of teams through California to the Carolinas. So it just takes someone to step it up and present the college opportunities to compete at the collegiate level. So, but yeah, so it's exciting. It's kind of nerve wracking, but it's a lot of good energy.
From what you expected, has it been a slower growth or about the process that you thought this was going to be?
Yeah, it's I think the whole thing where it seems like what we went through the pandemic really put a damper on. It really made me kind of think through like, am I supposed to be doing this? At the time, I was just starting to be an intern with Southwest MMA Series and working with Ricky Consteady, who's kind of like he's my big brother. He's really brought me up of how to run the shows, the little details, as well as the matchmaking, as well as Heather Housley. She's taught me a lot of just how to match make, how to, incorporate, certain things that needs to go on behind the scenes with the shows. So and then also just being a sports agent, with Dami management, of just working with fighters, working with professional fighters, and how to get them up to the next level, how to get them, to UFC, BKFC, to PFL. So learning kind of the upper scale to now I can really tone it down to really just focus after the pandemic and just getting through where now these colleges are uplifting all their COVID protocols and just opening doors for these students to be able to start their MMA program. So, but yeah, it's a marathon, like I said.
And at this point in the marathon, I did though hear that we're to the point where something's happening next weekend. Well, weekend after next, actually.
Yeah, April 17th, in the mat room at John Center. It's gonna be Lobo MMA and Aggie MMA. They're gonna be coming up. It's just a scrimmage, it's all grappling. Lobo MMA is hosting it. So Jacob Armstrong and his team with Cole and those guys they're just putting their technicians, those guys they train at Smart Jits, with Brata and Michelle Watterson and their whole team out there. Gi and Nogi. So there a lot of it's to bring in a lot of attributes, talents on the mat. So when they go in there, it's going to be a lot of skill set. And then AMA, dude, I've seen those guys train at AGF and they got some killers too. So it's going to be, people can come out, they can reach out, say, hey, we want to come. And we'll help. Hopefully it's not so much room. It's not like Johnson, the arena. It's not going to be, 20,000 people or under that, I should say. But it's just we're gonna do live stream. So if you want to watch it, tune in. We're gonna do some live streaming on all of our channels. And then hopefully by this fall of 2026, we're really gonna be opening doors where we're actually be sanctioning, collegiate MMA within the state athletic commission with New Mexico. So
Yeah, are we expecting that to be have you worked it out? Is it going to be a team by team competition or is it going to be team by team individual fights? How that will work?
So yes, it'd be mostly individual in the beginning. So we have kind of a point system that's different than a lot of amateur and obviously pro leagues. So obviously we have the win-loss record, and judges can be involved obviously, but we're also doing a point system that's going to be totally different. I kind of looked into the Super Fight League, which was actually in India, kind of started out there and kind of took their point system in a sense. So I can't take all the credit, but we kind of made the game safer. So our point system is going to be, if you win by submission, it's going to be 3 points. If you win by TKO, KO, it's going to be 2 points. If you win by decision, it's going to be 1 point. So we're really trying to make it team oriented. And so when we're doing team events, once we get to that point where we actually have a full, like example, Lobo MMA versus AMA, if it's in Las Cruces or if it's in Albuquerque, we're going to actually have the average Joe sports fan show up and be like, I don't know anything about fighting, but I'm a Lobo fan. I show up to the pit, I show up to basketball, I show up to football. So it's going to be really easy where, talking about 10-9s and all these other type of, decisions that are done by judges, like we're just going to simplify it a little bit more. Obviously we're going to have the judges, put their scorecards, but like if it goes by submission, TKO, KO. It's going to make it more simple for the average Joe sports fan. And every club president, everyone I talk to loves the idea, and I think it's going to be great for the sport. It's going to, altitude it a little bit more. And it's just going to make it more easier to when we're doing matchmaking and all that. It's just going to make it more precise and not just here, let's put this fight here, let's put this big fight here, and let's put it together. And it's, not going to be coming out to how it should be.
One of the bigger aspects of all college athletics is recruiting. Has that started to be a thing for these teams to be looking at the talent that they're trying to cultivate towards these teams, even though there's only a few of them?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's a few of them, but once we get growing, and this may shock you, it may shock a lot of people. Collegiate MMA with it, I've done mitts, I've done practice, I ran practices and all that, all walks of life. We've had soccer players coming in, we had football players, we had, obviously the common ones, wrestlers, jiu-jitsu guys, the MMA guys that come in, and they do really well. I've done 45 minutes with a ballerina who's just kicking the heck out of the actual Muay Thai pads. So it's we can have all walks of life, and this might blow you and people thinking this way, but collegiate MMA has the most ways of recruiting college athletes to join these clubs. There's no other college sports out there that has the more way of recruiting these guys and getting them on the mats and opening doors for them. And be able to start their amateur career where they're actually not stressing out and coming in with Aggies MMA with Zia Martial Arts, with Mark and Spencer down there as their coaches, doing the job and just focus on
part and just be able to focus on tuning in and taking, a soccer player and getting more tune into kickboxing and then working the jiu-jitsu game. So it's, and also, we also have the United States Fight League, the amateur fight card, ages 8 to 18, they can get recruited. Obviously, high school wrestling would be a huge one. I know a lot of college coaches are going to hate me saying this, but a lot of these coaches that are trying to recruit these high school wrestlers, they'll be like, yo, why am I not getting this so-and-so? Why am I not getting this, 3-star recruit coming to, Northern Illinois or Northern Iowa and be able to come in being, full scholarship, or maybe I'll be taking, a lot of these schools be taking red shirts away. So there's a lot of opportunity for these college teams to be able to recruit, to go out there during the state tournaments, to jiu-jitsu tournaments, to whatever, and be able to open doors that way. So if they're thinking about it. And then we also can have not just undergrad, we'll have master's students, so people who are getting a master's degree, as well as getting a PhD degree. So there's a lot of open doors that can happen for these students in all walks of life right now.
With the college platform, and with that rule set, is it going to be traditional amateurs? Or I've seen in New Mexico, we're a little bit different. I have seen some states, Florida, Texas, where some amateurs wear shin guards in the amateur MMA fight. What kind of protective equipment are you guys thinking? Are we going to do the normal, just 4-ounce gloves and no other protection? Or is there something different with collegiate MMA towards the amateur circuit that we've seen here?
So yeah, we're definitely going to focus towards safety. We're going to abide by all the safety requirements coming from the State Athletic Commission, New Mexico, like Texas. Our novice and open divisions will have step-in shin guards. We'll be able to if the amateur in the state of New Mexico is allowing elbows and that, we'll allow the elbows. If Texas is not, then yeah, we're pretty much going to work where it's going to be a universal rule set. So it's going to be, we kind of already have our rules and regulations already in place, but we also have to abide by the State Athletic Commission. It's this is how it works in our state, and we're going to have to abide by those rules. And then once these guys get to open division, which is our top 10 ranked guys, all the way to, our champion from the previous year up to the current champion, those guys, we're going to take off step in shin guards. We're going to get these guys ready. A lot of those guys might be, 21 years old to 23 to, all the way up to 27 years old. So a lot of those guys, they need to get ready to get their pro, almost pro debut going. And they get a sense where a lot of these promoters in the professional leagues and the professional farm leagues, in a sense, can actually, see how they can do without, the safety pads and all that.
MMA expanding by leaps and bounds. Garrett Wardell at the forefront of trying to take the sport that we all love and now push it to a collegiate level, open doors, give athletes a new opportunity, streamline another pipeline towards professional opportunities. The more combat sports, the better. It was great getting to talk to you. I knew I was only going to take up a couple of minutes of your time tonight. Everybody, check out the Instagram page. It is NC2 MMA to get more details, and maybe go check out some grappling on the 17th at UNM.
Thank you, Micah.
You have a good night.
Hey, you too.
Never ceases to amaze me what's coming next in the world of combat sports, MMA. It's a great innovative idea. We talk about the multitude of AAA MMAs that are out there, the multitude of different feeders. Now we're talking about jump-starting that college aspect. We've seen Haley Cohen's going to be in action this weekend, a one-time Olympic, or not Olympic, but high caliber collegiate gymnast and tumbler who prospering in MMA. Tons of great wrestlers that we've seen for a multitude of times have the opportunity to really flourish in MMA, and now they'd be able to get their feet wet a little bit sooner. So it's a really cool opportunity that I'm wondering to see how it's unfolded. It's been a passion project in the works for quite a few years. And on the 17th, Lobos versus Aggies, because that was one of the roots of this thought. If you've ever seen one of the interviews I've done before with Garrett, you tap into the college fanaticism. You tap into those natural rivalries. How big would Aggies Lobos be in a cage in the pit? How big would it be in the Pan Am Arena? How big would one day having Seminoles versus Gators? We're talking about Texas A&M versus Texas Tech, having North Carolina versus Duke. There are these natural rivalries that you can elevate and take into that physical realm now if collegiate MMA is truly able to prosper. Passion project that Garrett has been working on for quite a few years that has been evolving. As he said, with a lot of things, COVID slowed it down. So this is a project that looks to get jump-started back underway. Top of the show, we quickly flew through what happened the weekend from BKFC, BKB, the PFL. Dawned on me to check out the rankings announcing his retirement. No surprise, Donald Sanchez is dropping in the middleweight rankings. Wouldn't be surprised if PFL tries to talk him in, or BKFC tries to talk him into one more. Excuse me. Mike Richmond has announced that he's dropping out of light heavyweight, so he's also falling down in their rankings. Not a lot of movement, though, coming off of this weekend's action. Last weekend in Florida felt like the biggest winner, Juan Carlos Rivera, had to move up to 35, was supposed to take on Mike Hansen to really cement himself at 125, did enough damage, up 10 pounds, and what looked like he was 2 weight classes smaller against Cody Vidal, able to put together that victory, and that's enough to actually jump over Mike anyway in the flyweight rankings, where we're still waiting to know, is the interim champion going to fight the champion? Can we get some Strode versus Dodson? On the Bare Knuckle show today, they talked to Jessica Borga. Sounds like she is on the road to recovery and is eyeing a fight with Aspen Ladd. She'd like the rematch with Christine Faria. I think the Aspen Lad title defense is much more likely, but it does pose a good question with Jade Mason Wong going over to fight MMA and the MVP promotions. Christine Vicens having been stagnant. I thought Rosalinda Rodriguez was working her way towards Faria, and then she suffers a loss down at 115 to Shelby Cannon. I don't know what's going to happen next for the Queen of Violence, Britain Hart, Sarah Shell. That is the fight that should be made in the women's 115-pound division. They've had some jaw-jacking. They've had a bit of back and forth. I think that one is a natural pathway to get Brent Hart to return to BKFC, defend her title. The doctor has earned the opportunity. That one seems like it would make a lot of sense. I also think that Harry Gigliotti coming over, getting the second round stoppage, getting tested. I wonder if you knock him for getting tested by Timmy Mason, or in the new environment, the big arena, the bigger ring, the fact that he was able to overcome and get the stoppage, does that jump over a Brian Duran? And Duran going to fight in dirty boxing. Edgar Palazola, is he healthy? Kai Stewart with a load of options. That was something we talked about earlier. Cub Hawkins, another dynamic performance. This was his most challenging. He got tested. He got dropped. His knee touched the canvas. He went down. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Still overcame it, proved his mettle, overcomes Jesse Ronson. Really fun weekend for the bare knuckle audience. We talked about the PFL. Middleweights, even though it's such a crucial weekend for them, there's no movement. The voters there still saying that Ivka Kasanganai is coming in at 3, below Fabian Edwards, below Johnny Eblin. This might not be updated, actually, because Dalton Rasta somehow up a position. Jordan Newman down 1. Natan Schultz somehow goes up 1. I'm not sure if the PFL actually did us the favor of updating their rankings, or I'm looking at something that's a little bit outdated, but at least BKFC, UFC staying on top of it this week. Got some news going around. The PFL is going to be in Brussels. We have that one coming up, I believe, in May. And you get Dongi Agbena, Glory champion, making his MMA crossover against a familiar name to the MMA game, to the kickboxing game. Former Bellator fighter, Joe Schilling. So stitch him up, coming back, and he's going to be welcoming another fellow heralded kickboxer into the game of MMA. Real American Freestyle with another event. Armin Sarukian, Colby Covington, the 2 stalwarts of the promotion. I don't know if I would have bet on those 2 names having been so prevalent for Real American Freestyle. The next big thing at heavyweight, Gable Steveson has signed with the promotion. So if you guys missed that one, the singlet going back on, getting on the mats, Gable Steveson going home in the best way possible. One Championship has dissolved their entire women's strawweight division. It is in flux. Expect an influx of talent over to the UFC. The road to UFC appears to have quite the lineup for this coming season. Couple more things from PFL actually coming through. Alexander Romanov's coach says that Romanov will be returning to the PFL to take on Rodrigo Nascimento April 11th in Chicago. I would assume that means he is no longer participating in the Gamebred bare knuckle heavyweight tournament that was going to be starting in the Dominican Republic. We saw Muhammad Usman. They had removed him. He is signed with ACA in Russia. You now lose Alexander Romanov going back to the PFL. Keep you up to date to see on how the bare knuckle heavyweight tournament that Jorge Masvidal is going to be putting on will be taking shape now that it looks like a couple guys have hit the exit button. The PFL also, speculation circling today, could be looking at a rebranding and some even speculating at a backstep branding. Now, I am being told and seeing people shout out that for financial reasons, some other reasons, it would not be possible for PFL to go back to Bellator. But there are a lot of people, including the main event winner from PFL Pittsburgh, Johnny Ebelin, a former Bellator champion, who would welcome it. Thursday nights, Fox Sports Arizona. It was like the second season of Bellator. There are some fond memories to me looking back and being able to indulge the early stages of that product. So to me, really is a beloved name. But if you tell me they already squeezed all the juice they could from that fruit, that the seeds are rotten, that it would not bear a plentiful crop, that the name value is almost roadkill for what was Bellator, I could see that argument. I could get along with it. Wouldn't be my favorite argument. There's a little bit of tingle when you tell me, oh, we might bring back Bellator. But I can understand where you say it's depleted. I could also tell you that there's a lot of sense made in the theory that the PFL, the Professional Fighters League, is almost a damaged asset. And that I know I'm a media personality who watched it intensely, but I first associate their brand with the seasons and the tournaments. Now they're going in a traditional model. You've basically even cleaned the slate of the people who are running the show. Could it be time for a rebranding? A new corporate identity. I could see that being a sensible move. A fresh brand, a fresh look, a fresh feel. We hear that, well, BKFC is taking away fighter banners and could be heading towards a more uniformed look. The roughest, toughest, wild outlaws of the combat sports world now want a corporate uniform look while taking away banners. PFL, while still indulging their entities with the takedown brand, have loosened the restrictions, it feels like, on having that buttoned up corporate look. Could you also just let go of the name? You've stopped the fight kits or their uniforms from takedown. You're now allowing fighters to have a lot more personality. As you saw the bridge, the yellow that was on Don Rosa's shorts. If you saw the Spanish and the championship ensemble that Castello Van Steens was wearing. If you looked at the battle that Brian Battle had on his shorts, allowing that expression of personality is different than what was the foundation of the PFL. It's a very good possibility then that you get rid of that whole feeling. New presidents, new CEOs, new people running the show. So why not a new MMA promotion? It's quite possible that this could be a whole new word for Bellator following this year anyway. It's their final contracted year on ESPN in a sports landscape that is constantly changing and evolving, and networks and broadcasters appear to very heavily be interested in sports content that's easy and cheap to produce. The PFL has noted that they feel that even if their contract and partnership ends with ESPN, that there could be 6 to 8 other entities interested in keeping them alive. For a long time, it's now at least according to Combate out there, that DAZN was the lifeblood of Bellator. Could Bellator's time have passed? Could it rise like a zombie? It sure felt like Scott Coker tried to do it with a Spike Force. I mean, turning Bellator in a Spike Force. So maybe you can revitalize an old product. Didn't really use that name, though. It'll be interesting to see. It's the top of the hour. We are through the first hour. We talked to Barber Gabe. National Collegiate Championship MMA on the growth. Garrett Wardell. It was an absolute pleasure getting to talk to him. Hopefully, any minute, we're going to be joined by the Pitbull, Josh Torres. It's fight week in the Duke City, land of enchantment. Get ready for some boxing. Embassy Suites, Legacy Boxing Promotions. The legacy continues 2 weeks ago, had the pleasure of talking to headliner Abraham the Hammer Perez on Cage Minds Fight Hour. Check that out on cageminds.com, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. That one was part of ESPN Radio Albuquerque, 1017 The Team. They heard it first before we got it up online. And then just a couple weeks after that, we had Christian Cabral, Al Puma on here. One of the topics was that all-time epic rivalry with Josh Torres that ignited the city. Was one of the bigger crowds post-Holly Holm that I've seen at the Route 66 casino. The Pitbull Josh Torres, we're expecting him to join us here shortly. He's going to be in action this weekend. His opponent is going to be Gerardo Alberto Fuentes, 19-fight veteran. Looking forward to a fun night of action. Abraham Perez in the main event. It's an IBF Intercontinental Flyweight title fight against Esnith Domingo, the Filipino fighter. More than half of his wins, 14 big wins by knockout, a 22-4 record. This is going to be an interesting test. Talked to the Hammer, and we talked about coming back, building up since his tragedy, near tragic experience. And last year, well, near life-threatening, totally tragic. How those 3 wins have built him up for now a guy that is experienced and incredibly tough. Josh Torres, we're waiting for him. The Pitbull on his way soon. And when we talk about Josh Torres coming in, having put together 6 wins in a row, seen a couple vicious knockouts. He's been a technician getting to the decisions. He's put together the win streak one more time. Albuquerque's Pitbull. He's been out here having fun. He's led his team. He's been in the corner of a lot of guys. He's still putting in work. Angelo Valencia versus Andreas Ray on this card. Andreas we've had on the show before. 5-1. Andreas looking to rebound from losing in El Paso last July, took some time off to regroup. Really interested to see the advancements, evolutions, and in and outs now of how he has progressed his game. Maximus Moya had been set to be on the card. Oh, there he is. Maximus Moya versus Herman Ponce. Going to be making his debut. Eric Thompson versus Marcelino Delgado. Elijah Blue Martinez versus Bryant McLean. Low-key, high possibility That one's just going to be a banger. We know McLean. I think that we've seen by now the glove boxing might be more suitable towards his style than the bare knuckle. But either way, he needs to be aggressive. He needs to figure out what style he wants to use. Working with his reach, usually the most beneficial, but he likes to be a brawler. And if he wants to brawl, he needs to be aggressive while doing it. Cody Chavez versus Isaiah Aguilar. Aguilar 1-0, and that one happened a year and a half ago. That's quite a time to be working over at Duke City Underdogs, quite a while to be putting things together, and we'll see how that manifests into him progressing. My fight show. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for watching tonight. Couldn't do what we're doing without the help of Robbie Ray Images. Expand your business. Take your brand. Expand its influence. Expand its market identity. Robbie Ray can help you. Hit him up on social media. Videos, photos, all in one. Get the beard in line and keep it tight with the Barbers R Us Beard Balm. And if you need the full haircut, it's Barber Gabe's Fades at 100 Coors Boulevard, Northwest Suite 107. That's at Lobo Plaza. You book online, barbergabesfades.net. It's where you also buy the beard balm. So the website is doubly as handy. Book and buy product. Waiting for Josh Torres. We have sent him the link. Hopefully have him on here at 7:30. We are planning for Cameron Delano. You guys saw he sent a little picture. So the Pitbull and the Bull Rider still here to come tonight on my fight show. CageMinds.com is the website to keep up with the latest in combat sports news. And don't forget, May 2nd, Birthday Bash number 3, El Rey Theater, holdmyticket.com. NWA New Mexico is about to be a reckless toddler if the party wasn't always wild enough. I wonder if we'll get some piñatas this year. We mentioned one championship. We've mentioned the PFL. Might as well bring up Power Slap by this point. Power Slap has now done a deal with the MGM Entertainment Group, and it looks like we're going to get Power Slap at the Chelsea, at the Cosmopolitan. The very first event in a long-term partnership, V-Chain Power Slap 19. The Hawaiian Hitman versus Manu, presented by Monster Energy. This starts April 17th during WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas. Super heavyweight title fight with the defending champion, Dane, the Hawaiian Hitman Veneers, taking on the undefeated number 1 ranked super heavyweight contender, Maki Big Mock Manu, 5-0, combining over 800 pounds of dudes slapping each other. Both guys are known for ground shaking, and that's just when they walk up to the podium and then they drop their opponents like some rocks. Also on the card, a heavyweight title showdown between champion Damon the Bell Bibble, 7-1, and the challenger, slap fighting pioneer. Have to ask Chelsea Dodson about him. Darius the Destroyer Mata Verona, 14-3. Dibble is undefeated in a power slap and has dominated the heavyweight division with over 1,000 days as the champion and 7 consecutive wins. Monta Verona, one of the 2 coaches from Power Slap Season 1, road to the title, has an impressive 3-match win streak and looks to regain his spot atop the Power Slap world. Chelsea, they're going to do it at the Chelsea. I'm going to ask Chelsea about it. I wonder if we're going to get to see Chelsea slap at the Chelsea. We got some time till April 17th. Maybe next week or the next week. We'll see if we can get Chelsea Dotson on, and maybe if she has some breaking news, or by then news will break if she is slapping. I wouldn't be surprised. It's been a little bit since we've seen her at the podium. This weekend, you do have the UFC back at home in Las Vegas, UFC Vegas 115. ATT teammates Hanato Moicano, Chris Duncan battling it out in the main event. Previewed that card, talked about UFC Seattle, and we even, for some reason, got into Floyd Mayweather business today on MMA After Hours. Check that out at cageminds.com as I verbally sparred Michael Carlisle about MMA and combat sports topics. And tomorrow, we'll be getting back into the world of pro wrestling at Pro Wrestling After Hours, also available at cageminds.com as we head towards the road to WrestleMania and AEW Dynasty. As for our others that we keep up with around here, there is LFA. You can check them out on Vice on Friday night. BKFC will be back next weekend, April 11th, with their debut in Hawaii. Oh, yeah, Maki Pitolo, Doug Coltrane, Joseph Greer's on the card, Toby Misch, Crazy Horse Charles Bennett. That one's going to have an old school feel. April 11th, PFL is in Chicago. McKee versus Pettis, top contender in the bantamweight division to be decided on that one. PFL will be in Belfast, Ireland, April 16th. And BKB is back with BKB 53, April 17th from Niagara Falls. LT Smash Nelson, top pound for pound ranked fighter in BKB, be back on the card for that one. This weekend, boxing fans, it might be the last stand for one of the two. Misfit Boxing on DAZN from London, the O2. I might be wrong, but this might be the most legitimate match that they've thrown so far. You get Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. That one on DAZN from Misfits Boxing. I know some people that have had some tumultuous relationships, maybe haven't been paid by Misfits Boxing, but this is probably the biggest legitimate boxing match that we've seen them do. Sending out another effort towards Josh Pitbull Torres. See if we can get a hold of him tonight. Fight week for Legacy Boxing Promotions. Cage Minds plans to be live on the scene. I'll be there at the weigh-ins. Got a couple things going on Saturday night myself. So if you're there live at the NBC Suites, say hi to Franklin Romero and Adrian Romero, who will be there live covering. Efforting out to Josh Pitbull Torres. Huge appreciation to the Barber, Gabe Bencomo, coming on the show earlier. Fought the flu. Able to get a victory. Embrace his wrestling. 2 in a row now at 185 pounds for the former heavyweight from Sandoval Fight Systems. Solid win to get his hand raised again inside of the Letter Resort and Casino. Garrett Wardell came on, top collegiate championship MMA growth. And I think we have the Pitbull Josh Torres almost ready to go. It's fight week. Legacy Boxing Promotions. The Legacy continues 3. As soon as the pit is ready, give me a thumbs up and we'll bring you on in the conversation, sir. How you doing tonight, Josh?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
A little bit. It's a little bit low, but I don't know if it might be my phone.
Well, we'll see if we can get through this. It's fight week. and you just got off a cruise. How you doing? You look nice and tan.
Oh man, we're ready, bro. I was on a cruise, but I was working on that cruise, brother. I was running twice a day, working out in that gym. It was hard. Don't get me wrong. Going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and grabbing an apple or an orange isn't fun, but we did it. We took care of business, so we're ready to go.
How did this one work out that you took you tell me it's like a family tradition. The fight, then the vacation. This time you just seem to do it backwards.
So we had the vacation booked beforehand, already paid for. Legacy hit me up, and originally the flight was supposed to be March 14th. That's the day that I left. And, you know, I was trying to move flights around so I can fly after the flight. And there was just no flight that was going to get me into Florida in time before the boat took off. So we talked with Legacy and we moved some dates around, and it was as good as it was going to get. So I said, well, we're just going to have to work on the vacation. It's not the first time I've done it. So we made it happen.
How does that work for camp? Like, does it adjust anything before you leave? Was there any extra emphasis on getting rounds in before you left? Because for that week, I'm guessing you don't have the sparring partner on the ship that's necessary.
Yeah. Oh, we worked extra amount of rounds before we left. We were sparring 3 times a week, anywhere from 10 to 12 rounds with multiple partners at once. So we were definitely getting the work in before we left. We got an early start to this camp because we knew that we were going to be heading out of town. So I was running early, working out early, and sparring early ahead of time. So that way, by the time this trip came around, we were already on track and on pace to be in fight shape ready.
Okay, so it's fight week. Like, how much different do you feel than from your normal kind of routine as to right now having just had the last week where you weren't getting beat up? I'm guessing you kind of feel a little refreshed right now.
Well, last week I was getting beat up. We were back last week, so we were getting sparring in last week. It was 2 weeks ago that we were on vacation. So we've already been back in the groove. I knew that I'd have 2 weeks to get back into training and back on track. So that's what we did. We jumped right back in the mix, got in the rounds, and went straight back to work. And again, I was on the cruise, but I was working. I'm not lying to you when I say that I was in that gym, you know, before the sun went up. And then I was the last one to leave that gym, you know, after all the activities and the dinners in the evening time. I would go hit it in the evening time. My son Juju was holding the mitts for me. We were getting some pad work in. I was mixing it up. I had my jump rope, my weight. So we were handling business on that boat. Don't get it mistaken.
You have another opportunity to show out for the local fans. You've done it so many times. What does it mean to you to step out there, to hear that bull chant, to have the crowd erupt as it does for you here at home?
It's the only reason I keep doing it, Micah, because my fans give me that motivation. They make it worth it. I mean, you know, we don't make tons of money here, and I've never been a pay-per-view star or made, you know, millions of dollars on TV or won crazy world titles. But when I step in front of my fans and in front of my people, that's how they make me feel. They make me feel like my purse is worth $100 million. Like I'm making Mayweather money. So my fans are what make it all worth it. And I'm excited to get in there April 4th this Saturday to do it all over again. Like you said, I've been doing it for so long. It almost becomes a routine, but it's a fun routine and I love doing it.
How does that routine feel different when you're also sharing the locker room, sharing the stage with Maximus Moya, someone that you've literally taken from a little pup in this game to now being a dog in the fight as well?
Man, it's a good feeling to know that even not just Maximus, but even Abraham. I watched Abraham since he was a little kid, a little pup. And now, I mean, I'm fighting on his undercard to watch him fight for one of these big titles. It's surreal to me. And it's a good feeling to know that I'm an old dog, but I'm still in there and I still have a lot of fight left in me. It's a good feeling.
What is your thoughts on kind of just the general outlook of boxing right now? I'm not talking about locally, but just from the misfit boxing, the TKO boxing. There's a lot of different boxing out there now.
Yeah, it's definitely growing. And now Zuffa in the mix and all these streaming services are starting to pick up boxing, things like that. I think that boxing's on the rise. And I think with the right kind of moves and the right kind of matchmaking, we can make it exciting again. And I think that we've already been doing that here locally. I mean, this card shows it. There's a ton of matches on the undercard that are 50-50 fights. They're great fights. So we just have to keep doing that, keep putting on good shows. And I think boxing can be as great as it once was.
There's all these flourishing, building opportunities. You've won 6 in a row. We presume everything goes according to plan this weekend. It's 7-0. I know you love fighting here in this audience. You said these are the people I do it for. When you put together a 7-fight win streak again, do you start thinking about another WBC title? I know you got a couple of those trinkets around the house. Do we dust off the New Mexico State title? Are there starting to be some culminations of big opportunities from Pitbull again? Hey,
yeah, definitely, man. We definitely want to make one more good run at some titles and some big fights. These fights are call them what you want, stay busy fights, local fights, but I mean, they still mean the world to me. But at the same time, we are looking at the bigger picture, and we want to keep winning, building our record. We're almost at 30 victories, and that's always been like a goal of mine to have 30 professional wins, and I'm almost there. But with that in mind, I still want to do some big things in boxing, take some big risks, travel. Who knows? Maybe go overseas, maybe jump on these Zuffa cars, and eventually fight for a big title and get a big opportunity going.
Where'd the number 30 come from? Why'd you like that number? Was there a reason?
Not really. It's just it's a cool number. It's an even number. I've been in my 20s for a while, 20 some victories. And now that I'm at 28 victories, I know that I'm getting close to 30, and I just think it's cool. I don't think there's very many professionals that have accomplished over 30 victories in a professional career, aside from like Johnny Tapia, Daniel Mel, Austin Trout, guys like that. So, I mean, it's a cool little thing to have under my belt.
May 30th in El Paso, there's the Han home rematch. We've seen Holly pushing it here for years. Could you see Josh Pitbull Torres in his 40s still doing this?
I'm sure my wife doesn't want to see me doing it in my 30s. She's been ready for me to hang him up. She's ready for me to retire and enjoy the finer things in life. But like I tell her, my body feels good. I still feel strong at 36. So, I mean, only time will tell. I don't know if I'll be doing it in my 40s, but I can guarantee that I still have a lot of fight left in me, and I still want to do some big things in the game.
Big things in the game, and you've really presided on keeping the game afloat. What has it now been like you said, watching a guy like Abraham take this step up, get these title fights, and you're now uplifting his card?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, man, to know that all the work that I've been putting in, it has meant something. Maybe not world titles, maybe not a lot of money, but we've kept the sport alive. We've kept it afloat. We've kept this local scene and the people interested in wanting to come to these fights. And hopefully when it's all said and done, guys like Abraham and Maximus will say, man, I'm glad Pitbull was in the game long enough to keep it alive, and to know that I've, put my name into New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame legacy is just a good feeling.
I believe the last time you stepped in the ring, you did get to don the Lobo outfit finally. Does that go down for you as the favorite fight kit that you put on?
One more time. I didn't hear all of that. What was that?
The last time you fought, you finally got to don the Lobo UNM attire that you didn't get to in the pit. Does that go down as your favorite fight attire?
Probably not my second favorite. I think it might have been close to my favorite had it been in the pit. I think it would have been a lot more meaningful. However, my most meaningful attire was when I wore the Johnny Tapia Memorial trunks. If you remember, I had his portrait, and not just Johnny Tapia, but Vicente Garcia Picosito, some of my good friends that have passed away that we've lost in the past. It was like a memorial set of trunks. So those ones mean the most to me. But the Lobo gear was fire for sure. I just wish we would have done it at the pit.
With the creativity you have, are you busting out something new for this weekend?
Honestly, we're taking it back a step. We're just kind of keeping it simple this fight, but it'll still be nice, but a little more simple. So the fans will have to wait and see.
Another craze that's become huge around here locally, there are food trucks everywhere. So we got to know, does Pitbull have a favorite food truck?
Ooh, One of my favorites is La Lotis. It's one of my good clients. They own it, so that's one of my favorites. They usually park up on like Bridge and Central and 94th Street. That's one of my top ones. But I mean, every once in a while, I'll just stop at a random one because there's so many. It's like you can hit a rock going down Coors or going down Central, and you can hit a food truck. So I try random ones, and yeah, I definitely love the food trucks, man. Definitely a fan of those.
What makes a good taco?
I don't know. It's got to be good meat. It's got to be good quality meat, man.
We got to start with the meat. Are you a
For sure.
guy?
What was that?
Are you a carne asada guy?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Josh Pitbull Torres this week fighting at home. What does the week look like for you the next couple of days?
The next couple of days is just fine tuning. We're tapering down, of course. All the hard work's been done. There's nothing that we can do in the next few weeks to make us any more prepared for the fight. The hard work's been done. Now we're sweating, of course, working out, keeping it light, and just more mental preparation than anything. And of course, the last couple pounds when we need to do that, and then we're ready to go.
I half the time see you with the St. Louis Cardinals hat. Does that mean you're already paying attention to baseball?
No, not quite. I'm not the biggest baseball follower, just a fan of the Cardinals, I guess.
He likes the hats, people.
Yeah.
Josh Torres this weekend back in the ring. Legacy Boxing Promotions. I had talked to Christian a while about it too. Every time I see you guys on the same card, I think back. You guys shared something special, did something special in this community, and it's truly to be recognized how the two of you guys have kept everything going. You had one of the biggest moments forever, and now we see you guys being pillars for this next generation.
Yeah, man, that night was one of a kind for sure. It just had so much energy, and it was electrifying to be there in the Route 66 casino. And to be honest, I feel like Christian and I left a little piece of us in that ring when we fought each other that night. And to know that it went down in New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame for Fight of the Year, it's a good feeling. And props to him. He took a little layoff, but he's back. He has some momentum on his side, and I know that he has some big things coming. I'm sure, just like me, he's staying busy, but he wants to do some big things in the future too, and I'm sure he'll make that happen. So I'm excited for him.
Saturday night, Gerardo Alberto Fuentes, what do you feel is the approach that you need to take in this one to be successful?
I just need to be myself. I need to be in there and fight comfortably. My last fight, a lot of people know I wasn't comfortable in that ring. I wasn't confident in that ring because I had some prior injuries I was dealing with. I had a bad training camp that I was fighting up against. So mentally, I wasn't really in the fight. I did what I had to because I'm a dog to survive and do what I had to do to win. But this time I need to go back to my old self, my confident self, to do what I need to do in that ring and to know that I'm going to be successful and to know that I'm going to get that victory. And that's what I'm going to do. We've had a great camp, and I plan on being victorious, and not just victorious, but in spectacular fashion on a Saturday night.
Just got out of the gym. I thank you for joining us on my fight show. Have a great night, Pitt.
Thank you, brother. We'll see you soon.
Legacy Boxing Promotion. The legacy continues 3 this Saturday night. Josh Pitbull Torres, Christian Cabral, Abraham the Hammer Perez on this card. New Mexico's best and brightest going to be showing out. That interview coming together a little bit later than I expected, but always a pleasure to get to talk to Josh Pitbull Torres. Always a pleasure to get to talk to Josh Pitbull Torres. Not sure how I got muted there towards the end. Legacy Boxing Promotions. The legacy continues 3. Super excited for Josh Torres, Christian Cabral, Abraham the Hammer Perez to all be back in the ring representing locally. Hammer with his toughest test today, another title opportunity as he looks to build towards bigger things. That interview coming together a little bit later than I expected because I can already see our main event guest knocking on the door. He's ready to come on in the studio. We're going to get to talk to a guy that you're going to be seeing once again in the BK. Of a unique event with a unique fighter who's taken a unique journey and has a unique opponent coming up. Cameron Delano, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, brother. Appreciate you having me.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. Last time I talked to you, it was fight week for BKFC 76. We're a little bit further out this time.
Yep.
A victorious first outing. What did you find, though, in that fight? Like, what has us back here? What did you find in that moment?
Man, I enjoyed every single bit of the process. The training, everything leading up to the fight, I enjoyed it. The discipline, and when I went out there on fight night, it felt good. It felt natural. I vibe really good with the crowd, with the bright lights. And so, one thing that I have took from this whole process is how disciplined mentally it takes a person to go through this whole process. And so, not just bare knuckle, but any type of combat sports, I respect that. And especially bare knuckle, it takes a different person to get in that ring and bang it out. So, yeah, I mean, I loved every bit of it.
How was the walkout? You're used to the high energy moments, that anticipation, sitting there on the bull in the stall. What was it now like walking out in front of that crowd?
It was definitely different. As a bull riding, they really only interact more as you get on the bull and then when you are doing good, right? Or when you get hurt. So, but what I loved about the fighting is that adrenaline lasted the entire time. And when you ride a bull, it only really lasts when you get on the bull and when you're done riding the bull. So in 10 seconds, 8 to 10 seconds, that adrenaline's done, So that was one thing I definitely valued about the fighting was that adrenaline stayed up here and I enjoyed it the entire time.
One of the things I said to you, I don't know if it made sense at the time, was, were you ready for this to feel foreign from all the preparation? I'm wondering, was there any of those feelings like once the bell rang that you're like, I'm prepared for this, and then this is kind of different than what the rounds of sparring were actually like?
Yeah, definitely. Right when that bell rang, it was like, oh, here we go. And I threw a jab at Jesse and missed and got stuck with one. And then that's when it was like, this is real. And I came back and, I shook out all the little nervous ticks, that first round. But after that first round, I was good. And I know what to expect coming into this fight now.
What does it feel like to get that knockdown? You get the knockdown in the first round, and I'm expecting you're on cloud nine. You're like, everything is going just how I thought it would.
Yeah, I had just came off of getting knocked down. And so I wasn't hurt, but I was expecting him to throw hard when we came back. And I stood there and he didn't come at me. So I was like, okay. So then I had to calm myself down because I was pissed, right? You got knocked down, you're mad. And so I had to calm myself down. And then I set him up for a perfect straight right hand. And when I hit and I saw him hit the ground, I said, yeah, now you know what's up. And then the rest of the fight, he was worried about that right hand. So I was able to really just piece him apart after that.
What do you think about that third round when you go back and look at it and you went after it and just took the victory?
I can barely hear you. Say that again.
What do you think when you look back at that third round when you went out there and you took the victory?
Man, I look at that and I remember hearing the crowd. I remember them getting louder and louder when they knew. I saw that he was tired. I saw that he was about done. And once I saw that, I remember feeling like I saw blood. You see blood and you knew that I had to finish this. And so, yeah, I felt amazing afterwards. And I was grateful for the whole opportunity of being able to be there and interact with the fans.
You had told us, and I don't know if everybody believed you at first, that this wasn't going to be a one and done, that you were now in this sport, and that first experience just reinstalled that to you that, yes, you want to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling one of the other guys that, when I got closer to the end of the camp, I knew how mentally it made me better. And so I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. Right. And so, and then getting the win, just the icing on the cake. So, yeah, I plan to make a career out of this as long as it allows me to fight.
You had told us previously that you would watch bare knuckle with your daughter.
Yeah.
Has she watched your fight?
Yeah. So I called her after the fight and I got on the phone call with her and she was like jumping up and down and super excited saying, good job, daddy. And that emotionally tapped to another level. And I started crying on the phone because like that brought out the reason why I was doing it. right? And you know, and I love every bit of it. And it made me it gave me such a happy feeling that, you know, I got something planned for this event. She'll be there May 6th, and we have something very special planned for the walkout.
Oh, that sounds outstanding. Can't wait for it. It's so cool that bare knuckle, the short time you've been in it, this is family for you already. How big this has
Absolutely.
become. Talking about family, your teammates are like family and you've rolled with them. And one of the other things that stood out, I remember you said you enjoy a bit of a verbal back and forth. You enjoy the verbal sparring. And we've seen that now come out at press conferences,
Yeah.
whether it's yours or somebody else's. What has it been about BKFC that has brought this lion out of the bowl?
Let's be honest, you know, there's only so many places that we can act like a kid, right? And so, you know, we can't act like this out on the street. You get arrested. So being able to do this with other fighters and being able to do the shit talk, being able to say, hey, you know, let's fight, let's punch each other in the face. I'm getting paid for it and it's legal. So why wouldn't I love doing that? You know, I had a little scuffle with Garbarino up in Philly. I'm sure you saw the videos on that. And you know, I got some words for him too, right after I win this fight.
You're making enemies quick in this sport. You're just calling out names left and right. It sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Is Bryce Hall still also, as we're talking about names, still a name that you're looking at? Because you've brought him up several times, and now we're to Alex the Terrible. So I'm guessing we're moving past.
Yeah, I mean, I got tired of waiting on him. I waited on him almost a whole year, right? We had contract. We said, hey, let's fight, let's fight, let's fight. You know, him and his team avoided it at all costs, saying, oh, you don't want it, you don't want it. I've called you out on national television. You got in for a face-off. Don't tell me I didn't want it. And I even put all the terms on in his court. I said, we'll do your weight, we'll do your place, we'll do whatever you want to do it. 2 weeks, 2 months, you know, 6 months. It don't matter. And they just, you know, beating around the bush about it. So according to some of the people deep in the BKFC, from what I hear, he really probably isn't going to fight again. But if he does, I want to be the motherfucker that humbles him.
And instead, this is a really cool opportunity. Were you at
Yeah.
all familiar with Slaughter to Prevail or Alex the Terrible before this name starts to come across to you as a business proposition?
I wasn't, you know, and that's just because I don't follow that side of the stuff. I had seen a couple of his videos before, but didn't know that was him, right? And once they told me who it was, I looked him up and I was like, perfect opportunity, you know. And what I loved about him is he has a big following. He can sell the fights, you know, it's good. It's good media, it's good, all that. But he has a dog in him. And that's something, you know, with the Bryce Hall fight, we all know that would have been a quick, easy fight, right? But someone like Alex is going to come out there and give me his best work, and it's going to be a fight. You know, it's going to be a bare knuckle fight, and it's going to be a war. And I'm prepared to leave that ring with a broken jaw, with a broken nose, whatever. I just hope he's ready to do the same because he's not going to be singing the next night.
He's been in, people have seen the body modification, they see the videos screaming, they see the band, and they've seen him talking about bare knuckle, even the hijinks of wrestling a bear. But if you didn't follow her deeper, you might not know that he's had 2 bare knuckle encounters himself professionally. He's someone that's game and willing to go into this. Did that almost heighten the intrigue for you in this proposition? The willing that you're like, oh, he really wants to do this?
Yeah, it definitely did, you know, and I took a risk on this fight. I stepped up a weight class. A lot of people don't know that. I stepped up a whole weight class just to take this fight. And the weight class that I accepted is the weight class that I walk around at. So it's like, you know, it's like I took the risk. I know he's got the height. I know he's got the reach. I know he's got a dog in him. I know he's Russian. They all got dogs in the Russians, right? So, you know, I definitely it's definitely just as big of a risky fight for me as it is him. But I'm a dog, and the difference between me and him is he might be publicly out there with his psychopathness. I'm not. So you'll see that come out in the ring May 6th.
Do you feel there's an advantage, a disadvantage either way now for you not cutting weight? You've only done the weight cutting once in your life before anyway.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to go through it.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the cutting weight though. I felt a little bit better. When you're training, you naturally cut weight, right? And so when I walk around 190, 195, cutting to 175 wasn't bad at all, right? So it was like cutting 15 pounds. All I had to do was eliminate one meal a day and train twice a day, and I was on weight. But we're fighting out 185 for this fight, and so that's it's hard, a little bit harder because I'm having to keep food in me way more because I'm training so much just to stay heavy. I don't want to come in fighting a guy on that weighs in at 185 because on fight night he's going to be 195 and then I'd be 20 pounds less. That's a big weight difference. So um as much as I like walking around at 195, I don't like training at 195, if that makes sense.
You used to walk around a little bit over 200 pounds. Does it
Yeah,
feel
205.
weird now?
Weird. I cut from 205 down to 175 for my first fight, and I just never really gained it all the way back. I don't know if it was from the training, how I stayed more active or what, but I got up to, I'm like 194, 195 right now, and I stick around this area. If I was to lift more and probably do less training, I'd probably be back at 205, but this is my life now. This is my lifestyle.
You were incredibly happy with how you were progressing with 7 weeks in a gym. We are way more than 7 weeks removed from that debut. You have
Yeah.
had time. We still got weeks ahead of you. How can you describe what training has been like and how you feel you've progressed since that first fight?
I definitely took a little break when I realized Bryce Hall wasn't going to take the fight. We was trying to get it lined up for November. I wish I didn't take the break. When they called me, I was actually on part of the break. So I was like, oh, crap, here we go. We got to get back into it. I've definitely progressed, up here mentally, setting up shots, being more technical. I've definitely gotten better on that. The power's always been there and the speed's always been there. So it was just more of the technicality things of boxing that I've learned, and I've came a long ways.
One of the guys that was in your corner for the first fight, who you've traveled with, Harrison Aiken, who introduced
Yeah.
us, know that he said he's going to stop competing at this point. Hearing that announcement, you were there live. How did that affect you, having been in the trenches with him?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows when it's their time to go. If he thinks it was his time to go, then that's his decision. He's definitely a dog, and I love getting in the ring with him because he's a tough partner to spar with. So yeah, I mean, emotionally, I know it took a toll on him, but I mean, that was his decision. And he has other things on the horizon that he's doing right now, and so if that's his goal, that's his goal.
A veteran of the sport who had take you under his wing, so to speak. What could you
Yeah.
share as some of the best advice so far that he has shared with you about this game?
Don't be afraid to get hit. He's one of them guys. They call him the headhunter for a reason. He headhunts, and I would definitely feel like being able to spar with someone that's just as aggressive as I am does help a lot.
Ruckus atmosphere, you debut in Texas. This is going to be something else. What are your expectations for the adrenaline of how this is going to be? That kind of crowd, a raucous atmosphere, this one of a kind, 4 fights, 4-band weekend experience.
Definitely going to be super high intensity. I know that. And me being the main event, I know, that's what everybody looks for. The main event. You got to put on a show. It's got to be the best fight on the card because why else is it a main event if it's not? So I'm coming out there with high intensity. He's coming out there with high intensity. I'm prepared to die in that ring. I know he's prepared to die in that ring, and we're going to have an absolute fucking war and put on a show for the fans.
With that kind of mindset, that mentality, what do you feel is going to be key or necessary to getting the victory, to having your hand raised?
Just keep going. That's all I could say. I know I'm going to get hit hard, and I know I'm going to hit him hard. So I truly believe it's going to be whoever could push their body the furthest. That's what it's going to come down to.
Have we even got back near a bull since bare knuckle?
Yeah, I have. I've been around it. I've been going to my aunt and uncle's rodeo. They do one every other weekend. But I haven't competed, professionally since then because I was trying to fight in February or November. That fell through. And so then right when I was going to start riding again, then I got the call for this. So now here we are.
See, everybody, if we keep them active, we've got them hooked now in the sport. We've got another bare knuckle addict here on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cameron Delano, again, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you. Blood for blood, everybody. This is unique. This is outstanding. I can't wait to see you back in action, sir.
Thank you, brother. Let's do it.
Telling you guys, blood for blood. I want to be there. I want to see it. I think it sounds cool. Blood for blood. We get fights. We get chaos. We get bare knuckle. All of the things that make the genre a little bit different, that make it a little bit unique. Looking forward to it. 4 fights, 4 bands. Looking at the lineup one more time, they're still waiting to tell us who Taylor Starling is going to be fighting. But Kartos versus Brock Walker. You have Roderick Stewart versus Jake Boswick, who has totally turned his game around and is one of the main sparring partners of Alex the Terrible, who the man has fought in RCC in the promotion where you see it from Russia, just around the hay bales, and he fought the promotion's owner. Alex the Terrible, always willing to get in there, throw down. Not to mention, when you add on top of it that you're going to get the 4 bands, you get Black Label Society, you get Crowbar, and you also get Slaughter to Prevail. I'm looking forward to it. Unique, one of a kind experience that you're getting in Daytona, Florida. Bull Rider versus death metal singer. Yeah, that's something interesting. Something I have here in the office, I meant to bring up earlier tonight. Show you guys this photo. Sent it to Josh Torres before we talked, and I totally forgot about it. How far does it go back, as we were talking about Cabral versus Torres, as we were talking about the depths of the New Mexico boxing scene, Legacy Boxing Promotions back this weekend with the Legacy Continues 3. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a little bit blurry. I don't know if I'm able to get this. First boxing event I covered, Warehouse Rumble 2 at the YDI Wool Warehouse. That was back July 27th, 2012. Josh Torres, Joe Gomez in the main event. At that point, Christian Cabral just 3-0 heading into the fight. Almost 14 years ago, Cabral and Torres both back in the ring. Saturday night, Embassy Suites right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we talk about some Duke City, some Borque legends. These two have put it on for the city, have represented, have sold out most of the venues here in town, and have done what they could to keep boxing alive locally while chasing their dreams. Abraham Pettis, the next generation. We have Andreas Ray. You have Maximus Moya. Last weekend, you can still see the videos, multitude of videos, because we had some Wi-Fi issues, but we were live. Cage Minds at Nowhere to Run 16 at the Overtime Bar and Grill. Thought it was going to be the last one at Overtime before the promotion heads a little bit further north up in the state, but we are hearing words that there could be another event being planned and happening May, maybe June. One more Overtime, one more Nowhere to Run kickboxing event at Overtime Bar and Grill. In the talks, in the works right now. Maybe we're not done with the amateurs yet, but the pros are still in the talks and still in the works. Keep supporting local. Don't forget, NWA New Mexico, Duke City Championship Wrestling is turning 3. That's going to be May 2nd. HoldMyTicket.com. And join us for the extravaganza that is local pro wrestling. Turning 3, quite the achievement. The association with NWA New Mexico. Saleh Taylor, a mystery opponent in the main event. The NWA national champion coming down here to defend The birthday bash, going to pull out all the candles, blow them out. Also, look forward to a huge night at the El Rey Theater. Hold my ticket to get those best seats before they're gone. We appreciate what NWA New Mexico Helps does for this show, what Talk ABQ does. MMA After Hours is up. Pro Wrestling After Hours will be up tomorrow. Shout out to Conrad Padilla for coming on Cage Minds Fight Hour, ESPN Radio, Albuquerque 1017, the team this past weekend to talk about jiu-jitsu, the cauliflower community that he's building, and his recent and upcoming stuntman work. This week, Tony Rosales from Rosales, Kajikimbo, and Karate, along with his professional pupil, Catherine Renee Lindemuth, ahead of their trip to Denmark in May. Big title fight. We're going to have them on Cage Minds Fight Hour this Saturday morning. That's 9 to 10 Mountain Time, local here in New Mexico. And then afterwards, cageminds.com, Spotify, Apple Podcast, a lot going on in the combat sports and professional wrestling world. We're glad that tonight you stopped by and shared some of your evening with us to talk about all of it, from Power Slap to BKB, BKFC, PFL. Shout out to all of my guests, the Barber, Gabe Bencomo. Visit Barber Gabe's Fades to book your appointment. Get to Lobo Plaza, get the haircut. While you're on there booking your appointment, buy the beard balm. Love the product. Holding it in tight, keeping it shiny and nice. Robbie Ray for your images and media, the newest commercials that we want to populate here on the podcast. We can make them. He can do it. New image. Need something for a promotional flyer. Robbie Ray has you covered. Enjoy the entertainment. Keep fighting. Visit cageminds.com. Like, share, subscribe. Have a wonderful night.